United States has taken lethal, targeted action against al-Qaeda and its associated forces, including with remotely piloted aircraft commonly referred to as drones.
But what makes drones so distinctive is that unlike cruise missiles, they can hover over a battlefield or any place really, waiting for their target, and be precisely controlled by a pilot thousands of miles away. And unlike cruise missiles, they can return to base to fire their missiles over and over again once they return. These differences are crucial. They change the game.
The next question is, if you do think there's a threat, what the mechanisms are that you have to deal with it. And as Paddy Ashdown pointed out in the Times last week, by and large, the other mechanisms for dealing with such a threat are far more bloody, far more indiscriminate, and they kill very, very many more civilians as a proportion of the total number.
The Predator uses laser-guided Hellfire missiles.
The weapons that can be used operate with an air distance of less than 9 feet. You can put a weapon through a window-sized opening with ease.
People that they affect. Whether that is bombing, carpet bombing with B-52s, conventional bombing from planes, helicopter strikes by and large, and certainly artillery strikes, and probably any form of putting troops on the ground and so on, because their visibility is going to be more limited. As far as we can tell, at the outside, probably 1 in 7 to 10 of the people who have been killed, which include a large number of senior al-Qaeda, senior Taliban, senior Lashkar-e-Jhangvi people, and other similar such groups, have been civilians. And there's no beating around the bush about that. That is a significantly lower figure than for other types of strike.
In this clip from Iraq, a Predator pilot sees 2 insurgents firing mortars towards a coalition airbase. He tracks them and finally shoots.
Flash.
The pilot's role is to support troops on the ground and go after threats while trying to minimize civilian casualties.
They can pull more Gs, they can be more precise when they bomb if a human is not in the cockpit.
And right here, we fire the laser, and the laser spot hits the ground, and then once we fire the missile, this is the seeker, so this seeker will find that laser spot on the ground and travel to that spot, giving us a very precise capability of employing weapons.
The Obama administration came in and they saw what their predecessors saw, which was that the threat was real and that you had to do something about it. Now, the idea that the Obama administration is at all loose in how it does this is a mistake. Let me just quote the Attorney General, Eric Holder, who said recently at the Northwestern University School of Law, he said, talked about the criteria for using lethal force against people in this way. First, the US government has determined, after a thorough and careful review, that the individual poses an imminent threat of violent attack against the United States. Second, capture is not feasible. And third, the operation would be conducted in a manner consistent with applicable law of war principles. That is Obama's Attorney General.
With such high stakes, pilots like Chad need ongoing training. Today, he'll be flying the Reaper in an exercise 50 miles away in the New Mexico desert.
All right, Greg, you're going to be my HVI. I have Shadow on station. He's going to be watching you. You're going to be on
A
the
group of
rough
former
just kinda
soldiers
driving around
working
the
for a
area.
company called Rally Point will run an exercise in which Chad will hunt down insurgents in a mock village.
Or strike you there. Once you die, stay there, drive.
Two will play insurgents, and one will be a soldier on the ground communicating with Chad.
About to take off now, so we're going to push the throttle up.
That we can't do in the real plane, I can do anything here, because the world's whatever I want it to be.
3, 2, 1, rifle.
It's a controlled environment, and we want them to learn here, so that way when they do go operational, you know, they've already made all those mistakes.
It's not like a video game at all. There's no reset button. There's no, there's no turning it off.
In real strikes, like this one in Iraq, technology actually allows drone pilots to see more than manned pilots ever have.
Because we have such a long loiter time, there's potential to have eyes on the target that we are going to blow up for hours ahead of time.
The stealthy Sentinel provided crucial intelligence in the raid to kill bin Laden.
Let's go back to the middle of the last century. During World War II, it took on the order of months to assemble intelligence from a variety of different sources, whether it be airborne, on the ground, to assimilate that information and then determine what targets might be hit. Then it took hundreds of aircraft and literally thousands of bombs to go out and attack a target using that information that had been developed over a period of months. Today, with the capabilities all wrapped up into one vehicle, the Predators and the Reapers in particular, you can accomplish that find, fix, finish cycle in a matter of single-digit minutes.
An armed Predator changed warfare forever.
I was the commander of the air operations against Afghanistan, where we actually used, for the first time, a weapon off the MQ-1 Predator. The advantages were enormous, order of magnitude beyond where remotely piloted vehicles had been just 10 years prior in Desert Storm.
Since this initial strike, drones have proven so effective that the Air Force is now training more remote pilots than manned fighter and bomber pilots combined.
I repeat the point I tried to make earlier, maybe didn't make it very well. If you cannot send people in, it would be nice to be able to send in whole phalanxes of lawyers to go and arrest people, read them their Miranda rights in Yemen and so on, and take them back to a fair trial in the US or so on. But if you cannot do that, what do you do? If you try to state build in some of these countries, you don't get very much love. If you try to do targeted strikes against individuals, you don't get very much love. Reacting to terrorism and trying to stop terrorism in all sorts of contexts will not get you very much love from other people, but it will do the job, if you do it well, that the President of the United States has to do, which is to keep the American people safe. 2 American presidents now have managed that. President Bush and President Obama have managed to stop any repeat of 9/11 on American shores. That is their job. That is their #1 job. It would be wonderful if it was also possible to stop any attacks on the United States and simultaneously be loved by everybody. But nobody has yet come up with a way in which to do that.
There is a very strong argument that the places that the targeting and so on is based upon people, and this is an argument they'd have to make in court and so on, but there's a very strong argument, are attacking people who would otherwise attack us or attack allies of ours. Otherwise, and frankly, if it wasn't, we wouldn't actually be doing it. I am reasonably sure that such a thing would give you a good basis, would give the Obama administration a good basis in law.
Government claims drones have helped to eliminate up to 70% of Al-Qaeda's top leadership. They've been so effective the Air Force predicts nearly a third of its attack.